A topic that became very stylish in the past few years is how to be an effective giver. Effective philanthropy, effective charity, making sure that when you give money, it actually makes the maximum impact that it possibly can. And it's interesting because one of the greatest philanthropists of the past 200 years, even though he's still not giving money anymore, has neighborhoods, hospitals, schools, and many, many other institutions being named for him to this day. In fact, there's one city that has no less than 6 neighborhoods named for this one person. Who is that person? Well, of course, the person is Moses Montefiore. Whether you're in the neighborhood of Yamin Moshe, Mishkenot Sha'ananim, Zichron Moshe, Kiryat Moshe, and other neighborhoods in Jerusalem, they are named for him. You can be in New York and go to the Montefiore Hospital. You can be in England and see various institutions named for him. Centuries after he lives, Sir Moses Montefiore has his legacy strong and alive, and his giving a model for many others. What did Moses Montefiore do that left such an impact? Well, he followed 2 ideas in this week's Parsha. The Torah says, Im kesef talve et ami et ha'ani imach. If you need to give charity, and the rabbis say that in this case, it's not just if, it's you must, you should make sure to start off, if a person's able to be stabilized that way, with a loan. If someone can get an interest-free loan, give it to them so that they can stand on their feet. Im kesef talvet ami et ani imach. You should see the poor person with you. What does that mean? So commentaries point out, and they say it means you should see the poor person as at the same level as you. Don't be arrogant. Don't say, oh, well, since I'm the one with money and he's the one without, then therefore it must be I'm better. Don't send a check in the mail and never see the person. Sit with them, talk to them. And that's exactly what Moses Montefiore did. He did not just sit in his office in London and send out checks. Moses Montefiore traveled the world. When the Jews in Russia were in trouble, he went to Moscow to advocate to the Tsar on their behalf. When the Jews in Damascus were in trouble, he traveled to Damascus. And later he went to Vilna, Lithuania, and of course, most famously, many, many times to Jerusalem, where he built the first Jewish neighborhood outside the walls of the old city. That is the story of Et Ha'ani Imach. When you give charity, make sure that you do it with the person. It's at the same level as the person, and that's a very important guiding line in terms of giving charity. Furthermore, the Torah says when you give it, don't just give it in a way that's a giveaway. Make sure you do it in a way that gives the person a sustainable living. Of course, charity is important, but maybe you can give the person an interest-free loan to open a business of their own, to see what they can do to get themselves on their own feet, to earn a dignified living, to earn a living that really gives them the ability to support themselves honorably. And that's the other thing that Moses Montefiore attended to. Of course, he opened hospitals and gave charity and so much more. But if you go to Jerusalem, what are you going to see? You're going to see the windmill of Jerusalem, where he wanted to make sure that the Jews who lived in the new part of Jerusalem that he was building had a way to support themselves. Halva'ah, the highest form of tzedakah, the rabbis tell us, is giving a person the ability to earn a living on their own, to get a job. You give someone a job, you give someone job training, that is the biggest form of charity, because the person doesn't have to be ashamed. They don't have to be asking or begging. They just do what they do best, which is to work. And it's interesting because the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, Rabbi Chaim Ben Attar, who's also buried in Jerusalem, says, Im kesef, if you have money, talve et ami, you should give it to others. If you see that God gave you money, ask yourself, why is it that God gave me money? It is to help others. Look at it yourself as a treasurer who received money so that you can make sure that others have the ability to support themselves. Im kesef talve et ami. The Ibn Ezra comments further that the reason this mitzvah appears right after the mitzvah of not abusing or mistreating the ger yatom and almana, the convert, the orphan, and the widow, is because those people are often poor. And so the Torah wants to say that when you're lending money, lend it to the poor, allow them to support themselves. So may we be blessed with the ability to go in the path of Moses Montefiore, support others, make sure they have the ability to support themselves, and always be of the people who are blessed with the ability to give rather than being in the need to receive. May we all be blessed with the blessing. And as the prayer goes, Shelo yitztarchu amcha beit Yisrael ze lazeh. May the Jewish people never ever need to rely on each other, but rather always be able to rely on themselves.